The light in Grace's eyes warm, reflective, and emotional. Deep in the lush green highlands of Bangam, where mist rested gently on the hills each morning and the forest hummed with life, lived a young girl named Grace. Grace was blind. Her eyes, though stunningly beautiful with the deep, soulful gaze of her ancestors, saw no shapes, no colors, no shadows, but her ears were windows to the world. Her simple, earth-toned garments were often worn, and her feet, calloused and bare, told a story of every path she had ever walked. While others saw with sight, Grace saw with sound. But though her spirit was kind and bright, the people of Bangam did not always treat her with kindness. From the day she was born, whispers followed her like shadows, clinging to her despite the gentle beauty of her face and the quiet grace in her movements. She was a stark contrast to her surroundings, a perfect flower in a field of thorns. Her blindness is a curse, some villagers said, turning their faces away as she passed. She will bring misfortune, others murmured, pulling their children closer as if her condition were contagious. Her beauty was often overlooked, overshadowed by their fear and prejudice. And as Grace grew, so did the cruelty. At the farms, where the villagers toiled under the African sun, people complained that she slowed others down. Her careful, measured steps were seen not as a sign of her resilience, but as a burden to the community's productivity. At school, her classmates, driven by a youthful and thoughtless cruelty, would snatch her walking stick and taunt her, leaving her disoriented and alone. During the vibrant village festivals, filled with drumming and dance, she was pushed aside, told she would spoil the dance, her inability to see the intricate steps deemed a fatal flaw. Even at the stream, where the women and girls gathered to fetch water and share stories, the other girls refused to fetch water with her, their laughter echoing painfully in her ears as they left her behind. Grace learned to walk with her head bowed, a silent gesture of submission to the constant judgment. Her voice became soft, almost a whisper, as if she were afraid to take up space in a world that so clearly did not want her. Her heart, once light and full of childish wonder, grew heavy with the weight of her ostracism. Still, she endured, finding comfort in the rich symphony of sounds that made up her village. The distant, powerful calls of hornbills from the treetops, the gentle rustling of raffia leaves in the wind, and the rhythmic, hypnotic beating of drums that signaled the end of another day at dusk. The world rejected her. But she never rejected the world. Then came the year when everything changed. A silence began to fall over Bangam, a silence that was far more terrifying than any sound. The rains, once a faithful and life-giving promise, refused to fall. The streams, which had once gurgled and flowed with abundance, dried up, leaving behind cracked, thirsty earth. The once vibrant fields, which had promised a bountiful harvest, cracked and turned to dust under the relentless, punishing sun. Bangama village, once so full of life and sound, faced a desperate, silent drought that threatened its very existence. The villagers searched everywhere for water, their hope dwindling with each passing day. They ventured deeper into the forest than ever before. They dug new wells. They prayed to their ancestors, but all their efforts returned nothing but dust and disappointment. Tired, thirsty, and increasingly frustrated, they gathered each evening around a fading fire, their community spirit fracturing under the strain. They began arguing, blaming one another, their worried voices rising into the hot, still night air. One such evening, as voices rose and tempers flared, Grace sat quietly beside her mother at the edge of the circle. While the others were consumed by their anger and fear, Grace was doing what she always did. She tilted her head, listening. Not to the heated arguments, not to the shuffling of weary footsteps, but to something faint, something distant, something hidden beneath the noise of their desperation, something no one else seemed to hear, a trickle, a soft, delicate, almost imperceptible, hidden sound, the unmistakable, life-affirming sound of moving water. Grace stood slowly, her bare feet pressing into the dry earth. She whispered, her voice carrying a newfound certainty, "Mama, I hear a stream." A wave of scornful laughter rippled through the gathered elders. How can Grace hear what none of us can? One scoffed, his face etched with disbelief. "Take the child home," another said dismissively. "This is not the time for foolishness or childish games." But her mother, who had always seen the strength behind her daughter's quiet exterior, placed a firm, supportive hand on Grace's back. Her voice cut through the derision, clear and strong. "Let us follow her," she said, her gaze challenging the skeptical elders. Grace has never lied, and so, reluctantly, grumbling under their breath, the villagers followed the blind girl into the deepening darkness of the forest. Grace walked with confident, determined steps, her hand-carved stick tapping gently against the parched ground, guiding her through the familiar terrain. She was listening deeply, not just with her ears, but with her entire being, tuning into the faint, hidden heartbeat of the land. Behind her, the air was thick with doubts and murmurs. "Is she guessing?" a young man whispered. "We are wasting our time following a blind girl on a fool's errand," another complained, his frustration evident. But Grace walked on, undeterred by their lack of faith. Her focus was absolute, her purpose clear, and then she stopped. She stood perfectly still, her head tilted, a faint smile gracing her beautiful lips. "It's here," she whispered, her voice resonating with a quiet power. "Behind these rocks." The men, spurred into action by her conviction, pushed aside the tangled branches and heaved away the heavy stones that blocked their path, and then they gasped. A collective sound of pure astonishment. Before their eyes was a hidden spring, a secret gift from the earth, its water clear and flowing, untouched and shimmering in the moonlight, like a treasure of liquid diamonds. Water, life, hope. The villagers shouted with a joy so profound it seemed to shake the very trees. The women began to sing songs of gratitude, their voices rising in a powerful chorus. The children, their thirst forgotten in the excitement, danced around Grace, their small hands reaching out to touch their savior. The same men who had doubted her now lifted her high into the air, their faces beaming with relief and newfound respect. In that moment, the same people who had mocked her now celebrated her. The girl they once rejected, the one they had deemed a curse, had saved them all. From that day forward, Grace was no longer seen as useless or cursed. She became known as Grace the Listener, the girl whose ears heard what others could not, the girl whose spirit had always been brighter than her blindness. The children who had once teased her now followed her eagerly, hoping to learn her secrets of listening to the world. The elders, humbled and grateful, invited her into their councils, valuing her unique perspective and wisdom. And each year during the Festival of the Rains, which returned in its full glory, the people of Bangam sang a new song. A song inspired by her and the profound lesson she had taught them. True sight is not in the eyes, but in the heart that sees value in every soul. Grace grew into a confident young woman, her beauty now fully seen and appreciated. Her head held high, her voice clear and steady. She was respected, loved, and honored. Her suffering had not broken her, it had revealed her incredible strength, and her story became a timeless reminder to everyone in Bangam and beyond that discrimination blinds us more than darkness ever could. Every person, no matter their ability, their appearance, or their circumstances, carries a unique and valuable gift. And when we choose to see with the heart, to listen with compassion, the world becomes brighter, richer, and more beautiful for us all.